In this section we will consider 6 types of modern weapons that are used by the demonic elite to control the global population. The part of population with animal psychodynamics can be easily curbed by the manipulation of their instincts. For instance, you can create fear, that is use traditional weapon of destruction, or you can play with their pleasurable feelings, popularize consumerism and in colorful wrappers sell genocidal weapon. After these tricks people with animal psychodynamics will be yours, because, as you remember, mostly instincts determine the behavior of these individuals. People with zombie psychodynamics are more advanced creatures. However, they easily accept the opinion of the majority. That is why, to brainwash their minds you have to use different ideological teachings, ideological weapon, or you can suppress their potential uprising by rewriting history, breaking causal connection, that is implement chronological weapon. For people with strong willpower the demonic elite offers higher perks and or managing positions in its hierarchical pyramid, make them low and middle-level demons. A stability of the whole system is maintained by the constant stream of impossible-to-check false information, that change people's worldview, such as countless stories about UFO, flat earth, reptiles, astrology and so on. However, some individuals, particularly, some independent leaders of developing countries with human type of psychodynamics, do not share these methods of government. They do not want to join and support the modern slavery system being run by a parasitic demonic elite of developed countries. As a result, to keep these leaders manageable, the demonic elite organizes economic sanctions that turns the population of developing countries against their own leaders. We have examined 6 types of modern weapons, where traditional weapons of destruction have the fastest reaction but less irreversible detriment. You cannot control and parasite on killed people, while a worldview change weapon is the slowest, but with the most irreversible detrimental effect. Further we will scrutinize in greater details each type of modern weapons. Firstly, we start from economic and traditional weapons. Economic and traditional weapons, immigrants as a source of development in developed countries. The elite of developed countries has a strong wish to develop and shape the world according to their own vision. With this purpose they need to retain the existing privileged status and seizure the greater power. The attraction of new immigrants from developing countries simultaneously resolves both issues, weakens potential competitors, and strengthens the positions of the elite of developed countries in the world. Moreover, the demonic elite by all means creates chaos in developing world, encourages corruption and bribery of the elite of developing countries, that forces people with strong willpower come to the developed countries and push their development upper. In case, if some leaders of developing countries do not like to play in this game, through the methods of media propaganda the demonic elite calls them tyrants, launches economic sanctions against these countries and proclaims a war on terror. So, first, have a problem, development stagnation. Second, encourage corruption in developing countries. Third, calling dependent leaders as tyrants. Fourth, to turn the population of developing countries against their leader, play with their economics, launch economic sanctions, through the float exchange rates collapse their local currency, and, at the same time manipulate the consciousness of own people, call it as a war on terror. As Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran says, today, America poses a threat to peace and security in the world. Therefore, the slogan "Death to America" is no longer used only by our people. Today, you see throughout the world people setting fire to the effigy of the American president and chanting the slogan "Death to America." This is because of the American regime's exaggerated demands, its arrogance, its vanity, and its desire to control, and because it is a pawn in the hands of the Zionists. He calls also the modern Syrian civil war as a crime initiated by the United States and the Zionist regime, Israel, and adds that under these circumstances, the Islamic Republic is proud to be the target of the rage of the world's greatest Satan. So, as a result, after all these manipulations in their own countries, some part of immigrants, called refugees, moves to developed countries and accepts the most boring and low-paid jobs, while other part, with more highly educated young and ambitious immigrants, strengthens the positions of developed world by pushing its development to the upper levels. This is a little secret of the elite of developed world. You, immigrants, are the main source of success in developed world. The whole countries, like the USA and Australia, were built on immigrants. Moreover, under the same purpose their ancestors had organized the First and Second World Wars. As Norman Dodd, chief congressional investigator of tax-exempt foundations in the mid-1950s, said in his interview to G. Edward Griffin in 1982.
And the question is there any means known more effective than war, assuming you wish to alter the life of an entire people? And they conclude that no more effective means than war to that end is known to humanity. And finally, of course, the war is over. At that time, their interest shifts over to preventing what they call a reversion of life in the United States to what it was prior to 1914, when World War I broke out. And they arrive at that point, they come to the conclusion that to prevent a reversion, we must control education in the United States.
Let's watch the short abstract of former Apple's marketing specialist and Silicon Valley venture capitalist, an errant human, Guy Kawasaki in the University of California Regents in 2013.
Oh, do I have any advice for foreign entrepreneurs in the U.S.? I actually think that you have an advantage as a foreign entrepreneur in America because I think one of the richest veins for investing, in particular using the Sequoia theory, is two engineers who are first or second generation American. And if you look at it, like Andy Grove from Hungary, Sergey from Russia. Look at all the Indian entrepreneurs that built this valley, all first or second generation. And I think that that poverty is a very motivating force. And so if you gave me a choice of investing in a startup where the CEO is the fifth generation American, his great-great-great-great-grandfather came over in the Mayflower, started the largest, farming supply store in Connecticut, built that up, billionaire. And this person's name is, Jonathan Sebastian III, and father has endowed a chair at Yale and Dartmouth, and coincidentally he went to Yale and Dartmouth. Total trust fund baby, and now sees that while there are 75 million dogs in America, versus Ashmeet, who one generation ago, his parents were in Bangalore, and they put him through IIT, and he came over here. Or his parents, they caught the last helicopter out of South Vietnam, and they landed in Sacramento, and so his mother became a maid, and his father started running a liquor store, and they saved everything they could, and put their son through Sonoma State, and that kind of thing. And I would invest in the immigrant all day long, because if you just look at the history of entrepreneurship, it's poor people who made big companies. It's not fifth generation trust fund babies. So I think, as one of, don't get me started in politics, but if I were the president of the United States, God help us, first of all, Macintosh would be a standard computer. If I were president, I would say we should make the most flexible visa program in the world, right? And basically, I would say, if you want to come to America, We have the greatest education system in the world. Cal is now ranked ahead of Stanford as of yesterday. So you come to the United States, you'll get the best education. You will be in a legal system where it might be flawed, but it is not criminal. You don't have to pay people off to get permits. You don't have to pay people off to get your money out of the bank. You don't have to pay people off, you know. There's a common law system here. And you don't have to fear for your life. You don't have to worry about the mafia. You don't have to do all this. Come to America and start a great company. I can solve the housing crisis. If I were Obama, I would say, all right, so this is the deal. If you buy a house that costs more than $500,000 in America, you are now a citizen of the United States. You know? Our housing problem would disappear in one day because all these rich people from all over the world, they say, our son, our daughter can be a citizen of the United States. Buy them a house. That would fix the housing problem, right? And then, you know, like my strategy would be, instead of using drones, let's use the visa system, okay? And so what we will do is, if you want to come to America to study and work and start a company, we will give you a visa. Come on down. And because we want to create a brain drain. We want all the countries of the world to be pissed off at America, not for killing them, but for draining their best people. We want the best people from every country to come to America, start your company, create jobs, do all that kind of great stuff, move back, send the money back. We don't care, but just come to America. America is the land of opportunity. I think, man, because if you look at all the great companies, it's immigrants that do it. And so I think, you know, this is like Ross Perot. Well, if we have, you know, people from Mexico come across, they're going to take American jobs. I don't think so. Man, those are the hungry people. They're the aggressive people. They're the intelligent people. We should bring them all down. Like, I'm third generation Japanese American. You know, like, what would have happened if they said, you know, no more Japanese Americans, because Japanese Americans are taking away the maid jobs and the gardener jobs, you know, no more Mr. Miyagi. We want Americans to do the yard work, right? I would not be here, right? I would like be working Starbucks in Hiroshima right now. So yeah, don't get me started on this. I think we should create a reverse brain drain. We should try to suck the brightest people around the world. You could have a test, you know, just give everybody the SATs. If you get 2,400 on your SATs, you know, you get a visa in one day. You get 2,000, it takes 6 months. You get 1,500, you know, stay in Russia.
So, a comment from a Russian human, as I visualized before, a brain drain. This is what Americans, actually, are currently doing. The demonic parents, who have made their wealth out of exploitation of zombie labor in developing countries, usually have spoiled animal kids who do not push the development up. This is why the demonic elite of developed world covertly encourages a corruption, and organizes the war on terror to attract hungry immigrants from developing countries. If you scrutinize the structure of English tests, then you will recognize that they mostly focus on the evaluation of your logic, rather than knowledge of English language. For instance, such well-known English tests as IELTS, TOEFL, Pearson, consist from multiple choice, true-false not given questions, and a lot of matching names, headings, information to paragraphs, sentence endings, reorder paragraphs. So, English tests serve as a barrier, some kind of a litmus test for a brain drain from developing countries. No wonder that British people themselves fail English tests. Let's watch one video example how British people themselves fail English tests.
Next week is the Korean Suneung, Sungung.
It's the university entrance exam.
Okay, so the equivalent of A-levels.
Now this is the test where you work really hard, right?
So have you heard about this test?
Yeah.
From the news, the British news.
Really?
It's notorious. You hear a lot about how hard it is.
The Korean SAT English test is famously difficult.
They're not in England, are they? This is Korea. They test English.
Yeah, they test
maths.
For us to go up to university, we are not tested on maths and Korean. It makes no sense.
They'll go to normal school until 3 or 4, and then from 4 or 5 they go into an after-school academy until about anywhere between 10 p.m. to 2 a.m.
Whoa!
That's not healthy.
It's not that everyone will stop
I don't
growing.
think that's healthy.
You need your sleep to grow.
It's for high school students, so most of them are grown.
Yeah, but what if they're late growers, like Lizzie was?
They've been studying for their whole high school. Every day is building up to this one test. So what we thought would be kind of interesting and fun today is for you guys to try the English test. So as a native English speaker, it should be very, very easy for you.
Easy, yeah.
A breeze.
Fine. Somehow I'm worried now.
I was not warned about this.
One of you.
Didn't get to revise.
This is this year's papers, so pay attention.
It's not. It's not.
Can we just eat pork? I like the pork one. Or the soju. Or the chimek.
Oh, I'm getting nervous. Exams. Who doesn't get nervous before an exam?
What we need is a really giant clock going.
Number 31, go.
When two cultures come into contact.
They do not exchange every cultural item.
If that were the case, there would be no cultural differences in the world today.
Instead, only a small number of cultural elements ever spread from one culture to another.
Even when they are A, brackets N, blank, is consistent with the society's needs, there is still no guarantee that it will be accepted.
I don't think I'm going to. Yes, let me read it. Even when.
Okay. What?
We'll get your answers on 3, all right?
Oh no, wait.
3, 2, 1, your answer is?
Innovation.
Well, it should be a cultural trait, but that's not in the options.
I'm going to get number 4, observation.
Number 5. Number 1.
4.
Number 4. That's wrong.
It's wrong. Damn, what is it?
1. Categorization.
Well, you are both wrong. Correct answer is number 2.
Are you serious?
I am deadly serious. Correct answer is number 2.
Whoa!
The correct answer is 2, so you got that right.
It feels like a big achievement in my own language.
Oh my gosh, I feel for you. That's a really hard question.
I'm a TV writer and I write in English.
In
so
the language English.
I think that's an unfair answer.
I've spoken English for over 50 years, and I'm struggling with this question.
So you're telling me, in South Korea, they're expected to understand a text, which I don't understand, and answer a question about it, which I got categorically wrong.
Not only were you wrong, but it took you 2.5 minutes. Korean students will have less than a minute to answer that question.
Even when...
Should we try another one?
Do another one, let's go for it.
This time, I am going to give you a 1-minute limit.
Just 1 minute? Quick!
3, 2, 1, go.
Some distinctions between good and bad are hardwired into our biology. Infants, why are we even talking about this? This is ridiculous.
In retrospect, that's a really tough word. Retrospect. Oh my goodness.
You have less than a minute, Chris.
Oh, it was flipped. If we get interpreted multiple times.
As you wander around, you find a large rock that provides some shelter from the fury of the elements.
That is not. That is
I've never had this kind of conversation with anyone. What's?
Oh my days.
You spent 45 seconds.
I don't know.
Driven by your renewed
You have 20
suffering.
seconds left.
But I just finished reading the flipping question!
No, I don't need a minute. I need an hour on this one.
None of these words are going into my head.
I need your answer in the 5 seconds.
3, 2.
Number 4. Number 1.
All right, that's a minute.
That is ridiculous, isn't it?
You've now just crossed 2 minutes.
Oh right, just give me a break.
Please, come on.
It's number 3.
No! People ever get this right?
There's too much waffle. The answer's 3, I think.
Number 3 is the correct answer.
Is it?
Yeah, you got 1 out of 2. 50%.
I'm 50% English. I guess I left half myself in Jeju.
I don't know. I'm gonna go 3.
Number 3.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yes! Yes!
Lizzie, that's correct. Jenny, that's wrong.
What?
Didn't you go to Cambridge University, Jenny?
Yes.
You went to Cambridge and you're finding this difficult.
Yes.
If I'm honest, I think in 32 I kind of just like potlucked it.
You just guessed.
Yeah.
So this is all Koreans. This is not the elite language students. I think it's almost at the point of unreasonable.
That is really hard. I'm kind of embarrassed that we didn't know the answer because we are English.
This is terrible! How is everybody alright?
Stop putting your students under such pressure. I feel under pressure. And I'm sitting in my own office.
I feel like everybody in Korea needs to maybe have somebody give them a nice cup of tea and a biscuit.
Maybe that's true.
And just say, don't worry.
I leave it to their wisdom, but I just can't see how this is a functional way of learning English and then retaining it. It feels like you might learn it and it's gone.
The Koreans must be taught specifically to answer this kind of question rather than being taught to be able to speak and converse in English.
I'm not going to tell you not to study, but if any of you do badly, don't worry, because this is...
He means this is a bad test.
You're going to be okay. It's going to be all right. Life goes on.
If you are stressed, like take a few seconds and breathe, and then carry on. I mean, I know there's only a minute per question. Oh my goodness.
You don't have time to breathe.
But like that helped
Don't
me in
breathe.
just hold your breath the whole time.
I was never very good at school first, I'm coming around. And I got into not a very good university. And I didn't do very well in that university. But then, my whole life changed. I ended up going to Africa and I came back and I went to Cambridge University.
Prestigious.
Prestigious.
As you can get.
As you can get. And I did quite well there. So even if you don't do very well in this exam or the next exam, whatever, it doesn't define who you are because you can do well in the future no matter what.
That's amazing.
I just want to encourage people because I feel the pain of exam stress.
Yeah, big time.
So keep going.
I did really badly at all of my exams on there, and now look at me. Yeah. So keep studying. No, I mean, look at me,
I guess kind of what I want to say for all the students watching this who may have to take this or have taken it in the past, guys, well done for studying as hard as you have.
We're behind you all the way.
힘내 화이팅!
Fighting!
화이팅!
Fighting!
Hymne fighting.
Can I say a prayer for the guys? Lord,
Go for it.
I pray for these guys who are doing this SAT. I pray you give them peace, you give them clarity of thought when they go into their exams, and you calm their nerves. I pray that they would find their identity in you and not in their result. In Jesus' name, amen. And bless you guys.
오늘은
여기까지. 안녕.
안녕.
Now we will watch an abstract of Dr. Michio Kaku's public speech in 2015 about brain drain as the main reason of success in developed countries.
However, the information revolution has a weakness, and the weakness is precisely the educational system. The United States has the worst educational system known to science. Our graduates compete regularly at the level of third world countries. So how come the scientific establishment of the United States doesn't collapse? If we're producing a generation of dummies, if the stupid index of America keeps rising every year, just watch network television and reality shows, right? How come the scientific establishment of the United States doesn't collapse? Let me tell you something. Some of you may not know this. America has a secret weapon. That secret weapon is the H-1B. Without the H-1B, the scientific establishment of this country would collapse. Forget about Google. Forget about Silicon Valley. There would be no Silicon Valley without the H-1B. And you know what the H-1B is? It's the genius visa, okay? You realize that in the United States, 50% of all PhD candidates are foreign-born. At my system, one of the biggest in the United States, 100% of the PhD candidates are foreign-born. The United States is the magnet sucking up all the brains of the world, but now the brains are going back. They're going back to China. They're going back to India. And people are saying, oh my God, there's a Silicon Valley in India now. Oh my God, there's a Silicon Valley in China. Duh. Where did it come from? It came from the United States. So don't tell me that science isn't the engine of prosperity. You remove the H-1B visa and you collapse the economy. In Wall Street Journal, editorialized against the congressman who wanted to ban the H-1B, saying they'll take jobs away from the American people. The Wall Street Journal said, look, there are no Americans who can take these jobs. These are at the highest level of high technology. They don't take away jobs from Americans. They create entire industries. And so that's why we have an Achilles heel, and that's the educational system. And again, sociology majors are not necessarily going to be the ones determining the future of Silicon Valley, but physicists, engineers. We need more of them, not less.
The irony is,
The weakness of the scheme of development is that after a while, immigrants become satisfied with what they have, update to the current order of life, become a composite part of population of developed world and get stuck in the consumption of material goods and entertainment. Consequently, the elite of developed countries starts again its vicious circle of development by bombing new people in developing countries. Question to all animals and zombies: what the demonic elite with this mentality will do when they conquer all the world? Answer: they will keep organizing this vicious circle of madness by killing own citizen, until they get everyone microchipped and fully controlled to push the development up. Question to demons: how many people do you need to kill more before you realize that the source of your development stagnation problem is a deliberate dumbing down of your own population via education and different types of entertainment? Solution to your problem: stop destroying education system and stultifying people around the world via entertainment, but rather help and guide them mature as prudent humans. Here comes to my mind the similar words of another human, Howard Zinn, American social rights activist. I wonder how the foreign policies of the United States would look if we wiped out the national boundaries of the world, at least in our minds, and thought of all children everywhere as our own. Further, we will review the example of genocidal weapon. Alcohol, tobacco and drugs are vivid instances of daily genocidal weapon voluntarily used by a lot of people in the world. Let's examine the way of thinking of an ordinary person, who from time to time drink alcohol. He or she usually consider two alternatives of alcohol consumption: alcoholism or moderate drinking. Of course, with these two alternatives even child can choose the right answer: moderate drinking. Moreover, the pleasant girl in advertisement reassures him that daily consumption of alcohol is helpful, because in moderation it helps to raise HDL, good cholesterol. However, there is no right answer among these alternatives. On the next day after consuming any amount of alcohol you, literally, piss with damaged neurons of your brain. So, this is one of the dirty tricks used by the demonic elite to misguide people from the truth by offering them two false alternatives, like Democratic and Republican parties as well. To get out of this maze of false choices you have to start thinking, in our case, outside the bottle, where a sober lifestyle is the only right decision that will lead you to a human phase. Remember, the imposed by the demonic elite through the media and hidden marketing consumption of alcohol, tobacco and drugs suppresses the expression of will, intelligence, and from all levels lead to animal-based type of human psychodynamics, where instincts determine our behavior. That is why we, people, become easily controllable. Further, we will focus on ideological type of weapon. A propaganda of such fake human rights as LGBT is one of the widely used ideological weapons implemented by the elite of developed world. When you firstly arrive to a developed country, then you notice a lot of people with non-traditional orientations such as lesbians, gays and so on. If it was really a normal human's reaction, then we would see all these people with non-traditional orientation equally spread throughout the world. I mean, even in developing countries with independent leaders, would be approximately the same proportion of people with non-traditional orientation among the total population. In the long run, despite any suppressed regime, people cannot restrain their natural instincts, such as sleeping and eating. Then why, suddenly, the developing world's population refused from a non-traditional love? Moreover, if LGBT is a natural process, then just, according to the logic, after joining to this multicolored community all population will simply die. At the same time, if all people have a male-female relationship, then the life on the earth will continue. It means, a traditional type of relationship is the only way predetermined to us by our Creator. So, soon or late we come to the truth that LGBT is a restrained factor of population growth, or ideological weapon implemented by the demonic elite of developed countries. Unfortunately, a lot of people in the developed world were dumbed down to such extent that they really do not know that the intimate relationship is possible only between male and female. All Muslims understand it, all Asians understand it, but the Western think tankers are in euphoria about the deterrent effect of their pseudo-human rights, LGBT propaganda on birth rate that are still promoting it. I wonder, when do they start to popularize sex with animals and plants? Solution to birth control: stop destroying education system and stultifying people around the world via entertainment, but rather help and guide them mature as prudent humans. Keep in mind that if every couple, or 2 people produces no more than 2 children roughly, we will maintain the same amount of population. Only for those who violate this rule, we can obligate heavy taxes or make up another restrained factor, but only openly, that is, treat them as humans rather than animals. I would like to share with you key ideas from the interview of Alan Watt, a Scottish-Canadian author, another human truth fighter. In this exclusive interview he discusses how the same laws are enacted at the same time across different countries under the structure of global governance. Watt explains in detail how the people of the world are moved around by the elite like a domesticated herd of animals by a series of contrived crises and revolutions, be they cultural, political, sexual or musical, so that the controllers can manipulate human behavior to the outcome they require. Watt reveals how the population are kept in a constant state of panic and terror, so that authority figures who speak with confidence are then more willingly trusted, using psychological shock and awe to generate fear and helplessness by bombarding the population with a myriad of different threats that they cannot personally cope with, and so turn to the state for reassurance and leadership. In this fascinating in-depth exploration of the human psyche, Watt discusses how this helplessness is artificially steam-valved through the use of sports, where men are given a tribal team that they can identify with and cheer on that is bestultified to a zombie level, providing them with some sense of success in their own personal lives when in the real world they're going nowhere, and sports are merely a substitute to keep them distracted from their own enslavement. Watt explains how women were given high fashion at accessible prices as a similar form of substitute, that is bestultified to an animal level, and how drugs, sex, free love, hyper-promiscuity and destructive lifestyles were also encouraged through music, as a means of misdirecting the natural rebellious tendencies of youth. The ultimate goal of this process is to demolish the family unit, divide and conquer, so that humanity may be more easily ruled and oppressed by the state as vulnerable individuals, with no family tribe to stand up and defend them. Alan Watt continues to divulge his fascinating in-depth insights into how culture is created from the top down, and used by the elite to manipulate and pervert natural human instincts towards their own ends. Every change in culture, right down to fashion and music, points out Watt, citing Plato, had to be authorized and promoted from the top. This science of mass mind control is still taught today by the insiders, and mediums such as television are used as weapons of social control to prevent humanity from ever realizing its full potential. Now we will describe a chronological weapon. Here I would like to highlight the fact that our education is used as the example of chronological weapon. At the time when you honestly work somewhere, the honorable good-looking gentleman also honestly, for good remuneration, deliberately dumbing down your children in schools and universities, kill their intrinsic creative potential. It means the demonic elite from your children already prepares a brigade of new slaves, that in the future will be working for the offspring of the demonic elite. Let's consider the opinion of other humans linked to an educational sector. Henry Louis Mencken, American journalist, satirist, cultural critic. The most erroneous assumption is to the effect that the aim of public education is to fill the young of the species with knowledge and awaken their intelligence, and so make them fit to discharge the duties of citizenship in an enlightened and independent manner. Nothing could be further from the truth. The aim of public education is not to spread enlightenment at all. It is simply to reduce as many individuals as possible to the same safe level, to breed and train a standardized citizenry, to put down dissent and originality. That is its aim in the United States, whatever the pretensions of politicians, pedagogues and other such mountebanks, and that is its aim everywhere else. Charlotte S. Erbett, Senior Policy Advisor at the U.S. Department of Education during the Reagan administration, author of The Deliberate Dumbing Down of America book in 1999. The well-known John Taylor Gatto, New York State Teacher of the Year, educational activist, unfortunately admits that self-knowledge is the only basis of true knowledge. Jordan Maxwell, independent researcher, nothing in this world operates the way you think it does. Banks do not loan money, governments are not empowered to protect you, the police department is not there to serve you, institutions of higher learning, colleges and educational institutes, are not there to educate you. The entire superstructure of civilization in the Western world is a combination of brilliantly put together and planned, well-planned, schemes to direct the minds of the people in such a way as to serve their masters. Samuel Blumenfeld, another American author and educator, and everything in the schools today is there deliberately. Nothing happens accidentally, it is deliberate. The plan to dumb down America was made in 1898 by John Dewey. He concocted a plan to dumb down the entire nation. The purpose of Common Core is to train children for the workforce. Australians adapted everything what we have done wrong, everything, and also in New Zealand, and also in Britain. John Nash, American mathematician, classes will dull your mind, destroy the potential for authentic creativity. James Conner, the author of legendary books, The Miseducation of American Teachers, published in 1963, and Who Controls American Education? A Guide for Laymen, issued in 1968. As you see, the aim of education is to destroy the critical thinking, mixed chronology, ability to comprehend what reason caused some result. I have spent a lot of time and money, obtained 2 masters in one of the best prestigious university in Australia. And now I would like to share with you about this experience, or particularly, express my opinion about the modern education.
Welcome. Ignore that. It will end. Now, our first question, 1 + 1. Yes.
2.
Incorrect. Yes.
Multiculturalism.
Well done, Simon. Next question. What is 3 times 3? Yes?
9.
Wrong. Yes, Penelope.
Gender equality.
Very good, Penelope.
Is this a joke?
You think gender equality is a joke?
No, but isn't this a maths class? Don't be so racist. I just asked a question.
We don't ask questions. Questions are offensive.
Yeah!
Now, students, I trust you've all completed your research assignments. And remember, the person with the highest mark will be flying to New York to present their paper at the World Mathematics Summit. Well done, Penelope. 6 out of 10. You too, Simon. 6 out of 10.
Hey. Be careful. You've been staring at her for 10 seconds.
What?
It's a form of harassment to stare at a woman for more than 15 seconds straight. And when I use the term straight, I don't mean to offend any persons of a non-traditional sexual preference. And when I use the term non-traditional, I don't mean to offend any persons who oppose historically normalized... Okay, I get it.
Unfortunately, Sunshine, your research assignment is only worth a 1 out of 10.
transform and mathematical methods in electronics to analyze the electrodiagrams of at-risk patients and calculate their risk of experiencing a heart attack. I mean, it's a new method, but it could potentially save thousands of lives.
7.
You barely even read it.
You used red pen.
What?
Red is considered offensive in many religions.
Why would you belittle everything down to a singular colour? Well, humanity is a rainbow of beauty and spirituality.
Yeah. Okay, fine, 7 out of 10, but that still means I get to go to the summit, right?
The marking process isn't over yet. Now, because we live in a society based on equality, the total amount of marks are to be divided equally among our students.
You've got to be kidding me.
Well done, students. We're all equal. We're all average. Yay!
But then who gets to go to the summit?
We haven't added our privilege points yet. Don't you know anything?
That is correct. Now, Penelope, you are female, so that's +1 privilege point. However, you are white, so that's -1.
I'm also bisexual.
+1. That leaves you with a total score of 6 out of 10. Simon, unfortunately, you're straight, white, and male.
And cisgendered.
Yes, so that's -4 privilege points, which leaves you with a total score of 1.
It's only fair.
Now you're male, and I don't like you. So that's -2 privilege points, but you are brown and sexually ambiguous. So that's +2. That leaves you with a total score of 5.
Wait, why am I sexually ambiguous?
And finally, Sunshine.
I'm gay, I'm trans, I'm Asian, I'm overweight, I'm lower class, I'm unintelligent, unattractive, I've got hairs on my nipples, and I also got body odor, and I can't really run properly or tie my shoelaces by myself. And I once watched a pigeon die.
Wonderful, Sunshine. That's 13 privilege points. That leaves you with a total score of 18 out of 10. Well done, Sunshine. You're going to New York.
Hooray, Sunshine!
We knew you could do it!
Let me see this. They've just written equality and drawn love hearts on a piece of paper.
He expressed himself, and it's beautiful.
He didn't even spell equality correctly.
We don't discriminate.
This has nothing to do with mathematics.
Do you think you're so great with your maths and your science and your facts? What about feelings, huh?
Yeah. Feelings are more important than facts.
Yeah! This is wrong. You're all crazy.
Stop violating me with your different opinions.
I have the right to speak my mind.
No, we have the right not to be offended.
And that's more important. And if you don't stop verbally assaulting us, we will be forced to attack you in self-defense.
Can't do that.
Actually, we have every right to do so.
And it's illegal for you to fight back.
Yeah!
This is insane.
Prepare to die a noble social justice warrior. Death!
Welcome. Ignore that. It will end.
Unfortunately, this video describes our reality. The demonic elite does not need independent thinking humans, but cultivate happy and manageable animals and zombies. As said in Errant Human, John Kerry, in America you have a right to be stupid, if you want to be. Comment from a human, well, such replica from a high-ranking US politician means only one thing: education is not anymore, if ever was, the issue of the government. The sadness is that it affects not only America, not only developed countries, but the whole world now. You can go to YouTube and type what Americans or English-speaking people tell about themselves. As said another human, Jamie Oliver, they, kids, are simply a reflection of the adults that have made decisions around them. It is us, as the adults, who have let these young kids down. No wonder why Ruhollah Khomeini, leader of Iranian independence in 1979, once said, "We are not afraid of economic sanctions or military intervention. What we are afraid of is Western universities." It is also remarkable to quote as another phrase, "Muslims are brothers, and will not be segregated by the pseudo-propaganda sponsored by corrupt elements." The source of this matter, that Shiites should be on one side, and Sunni on the other, is on the one hand ignorance and on the other hand, propaganda of the foreigners. I would like to finish this part of education as a chronological weapon by the words of Soviet-born composer, Alfred Schnittke, "For the formation of a pearl in a shell lying on the bottom of the ocean, you need a grit, something abnormal, foreign." Just like in art, where the truly great is often born against the rules. There are plenty of examples. Finally, we come to the worldview change, the slowest, and the most powerful type of weapon. The mixing truth with conspiracy theories is one of the favorite methods implemented nowadays by the demonic elite. David Icke could be described as one of the well-known conspiracy theorists, an errant human, the merchant of fear, who deliberately or unintentionally work for the demonic elite. He mixes truth with practically impossible to check bunch of lies, that extends time for the demonic elite to parasite on others. Now we will consider another example of worldview change weapon, replacement of our motivation by such element of control as money. 1. When a child is born, the improvement, the wish from day to day become better, is an intrinsic motivation that does not require any competition. 2. Because the real purpose of modern education is to foster narrow-minded and law-abiding citizens, our child gets a standards-compliant mind with a damaged potential to creativity. As a result, at this stage a lot of people lose their true purpose of their embodiment on earth, become a human, id be, feel, and act as an omnipotent part of our Creator. 3. Further, most of us, best of the best, well-educated zombies go to low-level demonic positions, where we become highly specialized and thus, narrow-minded easily replaceable cogs in the capitalist slavery system. We, literally, burn our lives and fulfill demons' desires. The only positive aspect of money is that it helps to a lot of people to unleash their willpower, move them from zombie to an upper, demon level. According to Charles Mills Wright, an American sociologist, when white-collar people get jobs, they sell not only their time and energy, but their personalities as well. They sell by the week, or month, their smiles and their kindly gestures, and they must practice that prompt repression of resentment and aggression. Now, pay attention to his words that were said over 50 years ago, "The mass production of distraction is now as much a part of the American way of life as the mass production of automobiles." "4. After a while, the incendiary power of money evaporates, and some people deliberately do not improve their effectiveness until they get paid more. I really do regret about these people, because, thanks to the demonic elite, these misguided people did not get the true purpose of their embodiment on the earth, where high levels of happiness are achieved only from self-creativity, rather than consumption of material goods. Here comes the collapse of all modern economic theories and models. They simply do not work after this stage, because they focus on a such prearranged false method of motivation as money. 5. As a result, a downshifting movement happens. Some awaken individuals, who wasted their life for the fulfillment of demonic elites' ideas, and who already do not have enough energy to realize their own dreams, lose the true purpose of life and stop their further development. 6. Moreover, as you remember at the second education stage, demonic elite have killed your full potential of creativity and closed doors to your human phase. 7. Therefore, in the scarcity of choices, a lot of people find their happiness in a well-known time-proven method, satisfaction of instincts, and get stuck in the consumption of material goods and entertainment. If 50 years ago this way of life was admissible, then now, the quenching of insatiable desires of growing population is an impossible task. As Bill Hicks, American comedian and social critic once said, "I do not believe making money in order to consume goods is mankind's sole purpose on this planet." If you're wondering what I believe our purpose on this planet is, I'll give you a hint: it has to do with creating and sharing. Indeed, the realization of our maximum potential level of creativity, and life in accordance with Mother Nature and all living organisms, is the only permissible way, predetermined to us by the Creator. That is why, capitalism, including all its hidden forms, education as an indoctrination, and money as a motivation are not sustainable in the long run. Now we will see how talented humans compared in indoctrinated demonic and improvised human minds. Albert Einstein: "The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, the rational mind is a faithful servant." René Magritte was looking at the egg, and drew what happens. Alfred Schnittke: "In the end of 1970s he spoke about the development of the fourth culture, and the flow of intellectual knowledge to intuitive." Freeman Dyson divided mathematicians into two categories: frogs, narrow-minded demons, and birds, humans. Frogs can see the flowers nearby, need more details, and capable to solve only one problem at a time. While birds are able to see the full landscape, have a more abstract vision, and prefer unifying concepts. Let's look what was in the mind of such great human as Albert Einstein. "The world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, its demonic elite, but by those who watch them without doing anything, it means by zombies." A human being is part of a whole, called by us the universe. A ship is always safe at the shore, but appeal to animals, that is not what it is built for. The hardest thing in the world, for such great human as Albert Einstein, to understand, is the income tax, which was invented by demonic elite to parasite on others. Animals, message to you: if I were to start taking care of my grooming, I would no longer be my own self, but a dumb monkey with good forms. This is how looks the compositions of indoctrinated demonic mind, and improvised human mind. 1. Now I would like to introduce you the Proust Was a Neuroscientist book, written by an American author and neuroscientist, Johann Lehrer. In this book the author describes artists that most explicitly anticipated the discoveries of modern neuroscience. Proust Was a Neuroscientist is about writers and painters, and composers, who discovered truths about the human mind, real, tangible truths, that science is only now rediscovering. Their imaginations foretold the facts of the future. 2. As Jonah Lehrer said, it is impossible to understand their art without taking into account its relationship to science. 3. In his analysis Johann exemplifies how different humans studied science and, at the same time, used some peculiar methods to reveal their imagination. 4. What interests us the most is how did they become non-ordinary humans? The answer is simple: amalgamation of good mind and good heart, who could think beyond indoctrination and money as a motivation. As said another human, Daniel H. Pink, New York Times best-selling motivation author, for artists, scientists, inventors, schoolchildren, and the rest of us, intrinsic motivation, the drive to do something because it is interesting, challenging and absorbing, is essential for high levels of creativity. He was also citing Sidney Harmon, CEO multimillionaire of a stereo components company. "I say, get me some poets as managers. Poets are our original systems thinkers. They contemplate the world in which we live and feel obligated to interpret, and give expression to it in a way that makes the reader understand how that world runs. Poets, those unheralded systems thinkers, are our true digital thinkers. It is from their midst that I believe we will draw tomorrow's new business leaders." Further, I would like to demonstrate the comparison, offered by my artistic brother, between types of human psychodynamics and art movements. Cave paintings, graffiti and pop art, due to their primitivism, could be allocated to an animal stage. While drilling pictures in schools or universities, as well as drawing of posters, slogans and calligraphy can be linked to a zombie stage. Hyperrealism, due to its high resolution, and realism that represents truthfully with a lot of details, could be related to a demon stage. I would also add tattoos and photos. Remember, smart, or conscious and individualistic. English classical paintings also can be related to a demon group, because these works of art were made, mostly, at the request of the bourgeoisie. Finally, abstract painting that stirs our emotions, makes us feel ourselves as humans, and creatively inspires us, particularizes the human stage. To this area also relate such movements and styles in art as Impressionism, from French impression, expressionism, the expression of the inner condition through color, shape, face, and Surrealism that releases the creative potential of our unconscious mind. The reflection of the same thoughts could be found in the words of Arthur Wesley Dow, an American influential arts educator. For example, realism was the death of art. Or another one, art lies in the fine choice. The artist does not teach us to see facts, he teaches us to feel harmonies.